Why, hello there, folks. Welcome to another round of Modern brought to you by Alternate Universes. This is Dylan from the aforementioned Alternate Universes, and on the left we have Harley Smale playing Mono Black Coffers, and on the right we have Ryan Nicholas playing Mono Green Tron. This is the battle of the big mana decks, and I would argue that it is the two best big mana decks in the format. Now, there might be a couple people listening or watching who are curious about that, because if you hear a ding, I'm sorry, someone's texting me. My computer is making noises about that, but not the point. If you didn't hear the ding, not the point. There are people who are going to be like, hey, Amulet Titan's a pretty good big mana deck, and I would argue that it's really not a big mana deck as much as it is a combo deck. You can have big mana combo, I guess, but I don't know. The big mana is not, like, you're not having a ton of mana in play at any given time. You're just making it a bunch of mana. Tomato. Every time I've played it, I have not considered it a big mana deck. I could very well be wrong. But let's talk about this matchup here. Both players are playing copies of the One Ring. Both players are playing Karn the Great Creator to shut off their opponent's The One Ring. Speaking of Karn the Great Creator here, coming down here for Ryan. Ryan, notably, is one of those MTG ambassadors. If he's on Twitter, I believe he streams as well. Tron is bad. He's been coming to the shop now for a couple months, so we wanted to get him on camera, especially because he's playing Tron. You can't have a deck in your namesake and not, play it. But what would I know? I don't actually play Magic. Now, Tron is a tale as old as time, right? We all know what it does. If you were unfamiliar, Tron is about assembling 3 lands together, Urza's Mine, Tower, and Power Plant, to assemble Tron and make a lot of mana. If you have all 3 lands in play, the Mine and Power Plant will both tap for 2 colorless, and the Tower will produce 3. Now, Coffers, on the other hand, is mono black. It is primarily playing swamps, but it is making usage out of a couple cool utility lands like Cabal Coffers that'll add black mana for every swamp that you have, and Urborg to make all of your lands in the swamps. And then you have usually 6 to 8 copies of Land Disruption, whether that be Field of Ruin or Demolition Field, which we can see a Field of Ruin in play for Harley right now. Harley's deck, mostly retro-framed or old-bordered cards, and it is a nice sight to see. There's just something about seeing that, like, old-school frame next to just next to each other. It's a good time. I like it. Ryan's deck completely foiled out, using, if you're curious about what that land next to the Urza's Mine is, that is the Gemstone Caverns from Lord of the Rings, the box topper variant. I want to say it's like Caves of Anador or something. I have not committed the names of the Lord of the Rings versions to my brain yet. A sin, I know, I'm sorry. But, alright, we can see a brief glimpse into Ryan's hand, which is a Power Plant, a Chromatic Sphere, a copy of the One Ring, Karn the Great Creator. Harley, on his last turn, played a Karn and used Karn to fetch a Liquid Metal Coating. Very good piece of disruption, really against any deck, but especially against your big mana opponents, because you want to disrupt them. So Harley, if he's able to clear Ryan's Karn, can okay, Pithing Needle on Liquid Metal Coating or Field of Ruin, more likely here, I think. Could be pretty strong. But if Harley's able to remove Ryan's Karn, he's able to play the Liquid Metal Coating, target a land, turning it into an artifact, and then Karn can plus that land and make it into a creature with power toughness equal to its CMC. And as lands do not have a CMC, it'll be 0, and the creature will die. So you get to build your own wasteland effectively. I've brewed a fresh cup of coffee, and it's kind of okay. Could be better, could be worse. As always, looking out for coffee recommendations. Now, the card that we saw Harley play a couple turns ago, March of Black Sorrow, which I believe is the actual name of that card. Or March of Sorrow? Wretched Sorrow. It's the Black March. A card from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Yeah, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is a instant X and black. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of black cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. March of Wretched Sorrow deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. It's a pretty interesting and good way of removing things. We saw last week in Coffers versus Amulet Titan, Harley, for 1 mana, just kill a Titan. He did have to exile 3 cards from his hand, but it meant he didn't die that turn. It's a card that when they did the cycle, we all looked at March of Otherworldly Light, the white one, and was like, oh, this is pretty good. And then kind of just ignored the rest of the cycle. There's a little bit of frame skippage here. The computer decided to act up. But kind of just ignored the rest of the cycle. I think the blue one saw very minimal play. I can't tell you what the green one does. And I don't know. I think March of Reckless Joy creates tokens? Like creatures? Oh no, this is the exile the top cards of your library one. And you can play with the 2 of those cards. This card did actually see a little bit of play at the beginning of Kamigawa. But the blue one didn't see too much modern play. I believe it has seen some standard play. Alright, frame skippage. We love that. So Ryan's Karn was removed. Harley now has a copy of the One Ring, is drawing cards, can do the liquid metal coating thing. Has a Dothy Voidwalker in play. That Urza's Tower will go into the Dothy pile. Notably, you can play lands with Dothy. Dothy just a very good card. The frame skippage doesn't last long. I believe it might last until the end of game 1 at points in time, but we did get it back under control. Unfortunately, there are limitations to streaming off of a laptop. It's not ideal, but things happen. Alright, Blast Zone getting cracked for 4, blowing up the Karn. There's 2 cards in hand now. Looks like a Field of Ruin and something else. Drawing 2 cards with the One Ring here. Folks, I experienced what it's like to play with the One Ring. Today's Wednesday, so the previous Saturday from when we're recording this. And that card is good. It is a good card. Like, you can watch people play with it and know it's good, but when you actually play with it yourself, and the first time you're like, yeah, I'll draw 5 cards off this, and then find a way to mitigate the damage loss, or you just win the game on the spot. It's so good. The card advantage you get with the ring is absurd. I played against Burn and just recast the same ring multiple times because I kept bouncing it to Fairy. Alright, so you're getting cracked here. Now, notably, so Chromatic Sphere does still draw you a card. If Ryan has Chromatic Stars and cracks them, I believe he doesn't get to draw the card because they won't get put into the graveyard. Eggs article. Correct. You would not draw a card with Chromatic Star. That's what I figured, but Magic has some weird interaction sometimes. Alright, Harley has 8 Orcish Bowmasters on the board, as well as his Dothi Voidwalker, the ring, and a liquid metal coating.
25, correct?
I'm going to take 2 into the upkeep from the ring trigger. Ryan has a simple Tron, so does have all of the mana in the world.
4 mana.
Harley filtering 3 mana into 4 mana, or 2 mana into 4 mana with a Cabal Coffers. Going to attempt to play a Shieldred, the Apocalypse here. Ryan going to tap and draw in response.
Target army amasses.
The Orc will grow 1 bigger.
Good.
And Shieldred hits the board. Harley's going to draw 3 cards, gain 6 life in the process, going to 31. That is an interaction that terrifies me. It's so good. At this 1K that I play, the 1K I played at, I'm playing my round, and all I hear from the table next to me is, "All right, yeah, I'll draw 5 and gain 10 life." And I was like, "What's going on? How are you gaining 10 life?" And I look down and I see ring on 5 and then shoulder, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah, all right." It is spooky, to say the least. Harley plays a Demolition Field as a land for turn. Well, 4 mana, play card in the Great Creator.
Okay. Target.
Does activate Liquid Metal Coating. We'll be thinking for a second about what he wants to target. It's going to take a peek through and see what land he wants to snipe away. We'll plus on the tower. Ryan's deck, rather pretty with all the foils.
15. 14.
I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times more. I really appreciate when players love their deck enough to like customize it to their liking. It's just, it's cool.
You're going to go to 13.
No, now I'm going to 14.
Okay, well now you're 14. Anyway.
We play these card games for fun, usually. And I really appreciate seeing people enjoy what they're playing with. Now, Harley going to take game 1 here. Ryan going to scoop it up. Kind of just in a insurmountable position. Harley's going to be gaining 1,000,000 life a turn. Will always be gaining more life than the ring will be doing to him, while drawing through his deck until he finds a win condition. Ryan leads on a Urza's Tower in game 2 into an Expedition map. This is like the classic Tron opening, right? Is Tron land into map. Harley going to play a Thoughtseize here, leading with a Takanuma as his land for turn. You see 2 Urza's Mines, a card that I can't quite make out, Ancient Stirrings, and a Chromatic Sphere. What is that card in the middle? Sylvan Scrying?
This is redundant.
Yeah.
I think it just
It's a special version of Sylvan Scrying, isn't it? What is that from?
Finished Tron. I'm at 18.
The F&M promo. Okay, cool. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Sylvan Scrying. Going to Expedition map, play, or Urza's Mine Expedition map. Harley going to play a Shadow Doubt here. Players cannot search libraries, and Harley will get the draw card. Very interesting card that's been popping up a little bit more lately. Spike just posted a video of Mono Black Coffers, and I think he included it in the main board. Alright, we're going to assemble Tron. They Karn the Great Creator here. I imagine Ryan also going to just do the liquid metal coating thing here. Yup. Will tag the swamp in the upkeep. Relic Projected is coming out here for Harley. His hand doesn't look to have a remove spell for Karn. It looks like Field of Ruin, the One Ring, Field of Ruin? And then the fourth card. Now, folks, as Harley does a little bit of a hand shuffling here, that reminds me, it makes me actually want to ask, because I saw a comment a couple weeks ago that I forgot to talk about in the following week. Now, the hand shuffling. Some people really dislike when players hand shuffle. If that is you, if you don't like it, can you explain to me why? Not a judgment thing. I just, I never quite understood the distaste that people have for it. Now, there is, like, excessive levels of hand shuffling. I'm a former Yu-Gi-Oh player, and there are people in the Yu-Gi-Oh community who hand shuffle like it's a sport. But like, what Harley's doing, you know, perfectly okay. Gives a little idle hands thing. I do it all the time. I think Ryan debating on Karn activation. Will Urza's Mine for turn. Pithing Needle coming out here. Most likely, once again, naming Field of Ruin. That was what Ryan named in Game 1, I imagine. Will be the case in Game 2. Looks like Ryan did opt to do the liquid metal coating thing. Going to snipe the other swamp away. And this is a position that I feel like it's impossible to come back from. Like, how do you... If you can remove the Karn, right, then it's fine. Interesting. Ryan put Warping Whale into his deck. For, I guess, from the sideboard? What? Whale has multiple modes. Alright, so it exiles Bowmasters, counter target sorcery. I guess the idea is most people playing mono black Coffers are on the card that just got banned in Standard. Invoke Despair? Yeah. And Invoke Despair is a hell of a card. So, countering that, I'm here for that. I don't actually know if Harley's playing it or not. I feel like Harley's list is a little different than like the prototypical Coffers list that people are playing. Now, I could be wrong about that. No, don't actually start the spike video. I just want to look at the deck list. Are there leyline bindings in this list? Is this what I was watching earlier? I don't think this is what I was watching earlier. Like, he definitely was not playing that card. Alright, Ryan, taking game 2. Harley Leon swamp into Relic Regrettas in game 3. Ryan going mine into Expedition map. Urborg, Dothy, Voidwalker. Okay, where is this deck list? Oh, ads. YouTube ads have been much more aggressive lately, I feel like. Which is really funny to comment about when doing commentary for a YouTube video. This deck looks a lot more scammy than... What? Oh, this isn't Cabal Coffers. Mono black and no Coffers. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, definitely a different deck then. Now, Dauthi Voidwalker does have a very couple interesting interactions in this matchup. If Harley thought seizes Ryan, and Ryan has an Ulamog in his hand, Harley gets a free Ulamog, and will get the cast trigger.
And I get a basic, right?
With what?
With field?
Yeah.
Which is probably the most feels bad moment you can have. I think the only thing that's like feels worse is if they like take your Emrakul the Eon's Torn. I don't even know if that. I mean, it is. You probably just lose the game, but. Dauthi has like some very medium hits, and then Dauthi has some very good hits. All right. So we have Boseiju, Forest, Power Plant, Relic of Regeneratus, Cityscape Leveler, the One Ring, and Expedition Map. Let's talk about Cityscape Leveler. This is a card from the Brothers War that totally went under my radar when it was getting revealed and the set was releasing. I was literally in a different state when the set came out, so I just didn't pick up any cards from the set. I literally owned 0 cards from the Brothers War. But Cityscape Leveler is a pretty impressive card. So it's 8 mana, 8/8 with Trample. When you cast a spell, whenever it attacks, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a tapped Power Stone token, and you can unearth it for 8. This card is really good in the Tron decks, to the point where some Tron players are just straight up cutting Karn Liberated for copies of this card. I don't know how correct it is. I'm not a person who's a fan of Karn Liberated. I don't think the card is very good.
Activate Voidwalker.
Most of the time it feels like a 7 mana Vindicate to me, but I'm not anywhere near a Tron expert. Now, AU Bluebell store manager, Daniel McCulley, he's a Tron expert. At least he has opinions on Tron that are like founded in actually playing Tron. I've just played against the deck a bunch and gone, yeah, okay. But I feel like most lists that I see nowadays are just cutting it and then playing it. Leveler in the main board, a Sundering Titan in the main board, and then usually one each in the sideboard as well. Or at least, without a doubt, the Sundering Titan in the board. Because the Sundering Titan can be game-winning against certain decks. Like the one that I choose to play that plays all 5 land types. So, hooray for me. Right. Back to the game, but not looking at Goldfish lists. We saw Harley Thoughtseize the Cityscape Leveler, pop the Dauthi Voidwalker, and play the Cityscape Leveler, blow something up, make a Power Stone. And then we watched Ryan immediately get rid of it with a Boseiju. And I think that's where we are now. It's always funny watching great creator players just like consult their sideboard. It reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh players looking at their extra deck all the time. Like it's a legal game action. You can do it.
What are you gonna do? You want Forest, use the Boseiju, use the map. What did you say? The ring, a relic, and forest. So I'm gonna play Karn. Minus Karn. Get Crypt. Play Crypt. Go.
Alright. Ooh, as I punched the microphone. Karn the Great Creator, Tormod's Crypt. Now, I actually meant to ask Harley about this. The Tormod's Crypt doesn't seem immediately good to me. Like I don't quite get it, if we're being honest with each other. What are you trying to prevent? Oh, I guess the idea is to take away the cityscape leveler, the unearth ability. Okay, that makes sense. Because Tron is historically not a graveyard deck. They don't really do anything, but being able to unearth the cityscape leveler that just got put into the graveyard makes sense.
Ring, trigger, ring.
Alright, one ring here for Harley. One ring is so good.
Animate,
Such a good card.
which is really good for you.
Alright, Karn plussing on nothing.
Target. Go.
We'll pass the turn. Ryan, unfortunately, is short of Tron, is missing Urza's Tower. I've talked about it before. I do really like those Tron lands. Specifically the tower in that set is the one that, I think it's the one that reminds me of Star Wars. I can't actually quite express to you what it is that makes me think of Star Wars every time I look at it, but there's something about it. Alright, does have a Karn the Great Creator in his hand. Plays mine number 2. Going to consult his sideboard. I wonder if, as a head game type thing, Karn the Great Creator players just pick up their sideboard even when they don't have Karn in hand to make their opponent play around Karn.
Yeah. I'll respond. I'll just crypt you now.
We'll tap the or crack the Tormod's Crypt in response to the Karn coming down here, or the Karn being cast.
Yeah.
And will plus on the Relic Brigetta, making into a 1/1 creature.
Yep.
Harley will take a damage in the upkeep. Now that's clever because with the Karns on the board, if Harley can't remove Ryan's Karn, there's a argument for him to animate the ring and swing it into Great Creator. So now Ryan has a blocker for it. I feel like it's unknown, or not unknown mode of Karn. Like clearly, it's known. But usually when I think of Karn the Great Creator, I think of fishing from the sideboard or the exile. And then I think of the liquid metal coating combo. But sometimes you can just animate big artifacts into creatures and just swing with them. Now, an interaction I'm curious about. versus Karn the Great Creator. Here is Dorothy in the sentence. Hello. I want to know where the people are.
How many again? I'm sorry. Ring, I used the umbrella. Forest.
Ken Karn the Great Creator. Dorothy Voidwalker.
6.
It's exiled with a void counter on it.
Go to 23. Activate. Sure. 2 cards.
I just want to know if Karn can grab stuff in the Dorothy pile. I feel like it can, right? The cards are exiled, they just have a thing on them. You still own the card. Yeah, I think that's an interaction that works. I guess let me know in the comments below if it doesn't. Not that it's really come up here. But it's kind of cute to like snipe something away from the Dorothy player. Dorothy can sack at instant speed, but you can't really cast artifacts at instant speed. And if you can, that's news to me. Though I'm sure there's some card out there that does it.
Rain. Dominant hands. I guess I'll pass life effects in your draw set. I'll activate Demolition Field, targeting.
Alright, Demolition Field. Going to hit Urza's Power Planter. Gets a swamp from the deck. Time is running low here. We have 7 minutes left in the time. The round timer, not the time. Forest number 3 in play for Ryan. We have 6 mana available. It is at this point that Dan McCulley would be like, well, if you had Karn the Great or Karn Liberated, you could exile that Karn the Great Creator. Though, I mean, Cityscape Lover does the same thing here. Not that either of those cards can be cast at the moment, but hey. Alright, Great Creator coming out here. Gotta consult the board. Haywire Might, pretty interesting. Unfortunately, can't activate yet because Karn the Great Creator. Alright, Walking Bliss getting cast here. Could be a 1-1. We'll take 2 in the upkeep. It does have an Orcish Bowmasters in hand.
Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't forget to change it.
Bowmaster's getting cast here, shooting down the Walking Ballista. Bowmaster's also a very good card. Not a card I played against too much on Saturday, but a card I saw get played against a lot of other people and do some pretty good things. And we've seen Harley cast it a couple times over the last couple weeks.
Brain.
Right, we'll cast the Stone Brain.
Brain you. I'll name Tower.
We'll activate the Stone Brain, naming Urza's Tower. Yeah, this is Star Wars 1.
Can I see your
Sylvan Scrying here. Losing Urza's Tower is pretty rough. At least I think it is. Again, I am no Tron player, and Ryan definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to this deck. There's a Blast Zone here. Gonna put it down on 1. Well, it comes in on 1. Gigantha the Wellspring being cast. I think that's the first Gigantha we've seen on camera in a while. Like, actually getting cast, that is. Tapping the ring, drawing 3 cards. Cabal Coffers as land for turn. We'll make 7 black mana. 6 black mana. I can count. Turn will fish for Cityscape Leveler. We will cast the Cityscape Leveler, blowing up Gigantha, giving a tapped Power Stone token. Going to combat attacking for 1. Okay, I was gonna say just 1 feels weird. Swings for 2. Running just to 18. And that will be time in the round getting called. The players will proceed to end of match procedures where Ryan will be turn 0. It will go up until turn 5. But I'm sure most of you knew that. Alright, Pithing Needle getting cast here.
Six. Needle is going to be on. Corn.
I'll respond to the
Orchestra Master's being flashed in here. We'll ping Ryan for damage in response to the protection trigger.
Ring's fine. On turn one, I lose 3. Seven. 3. Go to 1.
Kill the fence.
Alright, Shoulder of the Apocalypse. Being cast here. Alright, we're going to go to combat.
One in the pool.
I was going to oh, nope, I lied. That's the One Ring. He's tapping the One Ring. But combat will be declared this turn. Now, notably, Ryan does have protection. But then he can still be attacked. It just means that damage won't happen, barring any damage prevention effects.
Zero in the pool. Go to combat. Trigger.
You can,
What's up?
you can't attack me.
Why not?
Cannot be declared attacker protection for everything.
I can attack.
You can still attack for protection for everything
Yeah, why not?
because you're targeting a player.
I'm not targeting you with an attack. Trigger.
Alright, there's the attack, blowing up the Pithing Needle, giving a tap Power Stone.
I promise you.
So, plus Karn, getting rid of Power Stone probably. And we'll pass over the turn.
Pass. Trigger on your draw.
You got it.
And Ryan, I'm just going to scoop it up. Harley, we'll take it 2-1 with Mono Black Coffers over Green Tron. Thank you for watching, folks, and have a great rest of your day.